My name is Rebecca. I work for an e-commerce agency based in Stafford. They're called Interactive Web Solutions, but we like to shorten it to iWeb. So you know a little bit about me, so I'm not just a complete stranger up here on stage. I thought I'd put a little about me slide in. So I'm interested in Magento. I'm a Magento certified solution specialist, so that just means I'm obsessed with e-commerce. I love gin. That's another very strong obsession of mine. And I've got a YouTube channel that's all about Magento called MagenTube. I'm on Twitter. I have a website, and so does iWeb. Go and check them out. When I put forward this talk, for starters, I really didn't think that it would ever get accepted. At that point, I was, I think, just up to the year mark on my first ever project management role, which was, I got it through coming to this conference. I was a developer when I came to this conference, and it just inspired me to want to be a project manager. So that's what I went and did. I'm a bit closer to the two-year mark now, but I still do consider myself to be new to the business and learning on the job. And when it comes to digital project management, I still think that I'm playing through level 1. So this is me if I was an 8-bit character in Mario, playing digital project manager level 1. So this game, unlike many beloved games, has absolutely no set rules, no guarantees, there's no cheat codes. It's predictably unpredictable, as you probably all know. And you still want to play, don't you? So let's go, play level 1. So challenge number 1, hit 4 milestones. That's fine, that's cool. Yeah, we can do this, it's easy. So let's go, off we go. 4, there's another first milestone. Yes, nailed it, there we go. Next one. Oh, this is easy, we're picking up speed now. Third one, come on. Yes, and the last one, where is it? Oh, phone call, developer's called in sick. Or there was some other unfortunate event, and you're falling through the sky. So it's not really a scale game, but it is predictably unpredictable, just like your jobs are and my job is every day. But you want to play again, don't you? Because this time you'll be ready and you'll jump. So who here actually thinks that their job is easy? Every day, all the time, guaranteed, without a shadow of a doubt, your job is easy. No? Nobody? Oh, that's a surprise. No, it's not easy. But the easiest games in the world are also the most boring games in the world and the most pointless games in the world. It's all about the challenges, and as project managers, we love the challenges. That's what we thrive on. So impossible deadlines, scope creep, resource conflicts, poor communication. These are all challenges which, sorry, my jacket is banging against the mic, to name but a few that we face. But the challenges that I struggled with most of all didn't actually come from the job itself. So I called this talk Expectations, Presumptions and Pressures. But I wasn't referring to the external expectations, presumptions and pressure that you get from clients and developers and designers and bosses, partners, cats. I'm a dog person because every cat just looks at me with such disappointment. So this title is referring to the ones that you put on yourself. It's what do you expect from yourself, what do you presume in order to pile the odds against yourself, and what pressures do you place on your shoulders. So right now I don't really know if I'm being brave or stupid in admitting this to you. So this kind of thing's not normally as widely talked about in the PM world, because I think it's because you need to be seen to be in control all the time, which if this clicks and changes, will hopefully go to the slide which has control written on it. There we go. And confident, and that you know what you're doing. But isn't it funny how both these words start with the word con? So for my whole professional life, I've felt like I've somehow managed to trick everyone into thinking that I'm doing something that is what I'm meant to be doing, because I really have no idea what I'm doing. Even standing here now, I feel not good enough to tell you about how I don't feel good enough. It's really exhausting, but it apparently has a name. So the imposter syndrome is a concept describing high-achieving individuals who are marked by an inability to internalize their accomplishments and a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud. So I first heard this about 8 months ago on a podcast that I was listening to. I can't remember what it was, unfortunately. But then I heard it again 6 months ago when I was talking to a colleague about some insecurities. And my thoughts were, of course, high achieving. No, this doesn't apply to me. Next. And it wasn't really until I had the confirmation email saying that I was going to get a lightning talk spot here, and I was feeling completely unworthy of this extremely high achievement, and that the little voice kept saying, I'm not good enough, I'm an imposter, but I don't have imposter syndrome, I'm just genuinely an imposter. At that point, I had a mini breakdown, and then my partner told me that maybe I should look into this a little bit more and research the possibility that I could be experiencing similar feelings to those associated with the imposter syndrome. So now at this point, my tantrum's in full swing. So I'm like, no, what? That's no point to that. To have the imposter syndrome, you have to actually not be an imposter. It doesn't make sense. And then she was like, it's just research. It's not a diagnosis. Calm down. And I was like, okay, fine. So I was like, well, there's no harm in reading about it. So off I go to read about it. Feeling like a fake. Attributing all your success to being down to luck or just discounting it altogether. And just that feeling that you're constantly out of your comfort zone. And these are just a very, very short description of what the imposter syndrome is. So even when you're staring in the face of information that tells you that you're smart, strong, generally super, you just all too easily write it off. And that feeling of inadequacy is always a persistent passenger, and something that I've carried around with me my whole life without even realising. And it's something that a lot of us suffer from, even Santa Claus, according to this cartoon by Mark Anderson. So it's not that he would ever admit it, because if you believe that you're less deserving, less competent, less worthy than everyone else, why would you walk up to someone and say, I feel like I'm not good enough and I don't deserve this? They could quite easily turn around and go, oh, actually, you're right. You should probably leave. We may be self-destructive, but we're not stupid. So that's why it doesn't get talked about, and it's why it just remains this very deep thing that nobody ever talks about. I realise that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not quite sure why. So 70% of successful people have said that they've admitted to experiencing these feelings associated with the imposter syndrome. But it's not an all or nothing syndrome. It's kind of, I think it's more of a spectrum. So you kind of get these, there might be really strong feelings or just a little niggle in the back of your mind. So I'm quite sceptical about the 30% of people that have said they've never felt like they were faking it, because I think they're probably faking that. Or they don't realise it. Because the sneaky thing about the imposter syndrome is because it affects those that are motivated and seem confident, it's hard to spot by others and even yourself, which is how it escalates. Not only do you feel like you don't belong, and you're scared of being recognised as the failure that you are, or that you think you are, you then think that you're alone in your fears and you're the only one who thinks like that. And you tell yourself, yeah, you're right, you must be an imposter. But you don't have imposter syndrome. You're just genuinely an imposter. It can be a battle, but it can, if you pick it up and shake it, actually be a good thing. So when I said I don't know what I was doing, I was telling the truth. I'm not a success story. I'm not here to tell you the solution to everything. If you ask me how I got to where I am today, I will say dumb luck. I'm so paranoid all the time that everybody thinks I'm an idiot, but are too nice or too professional to tell me so. But I am slowly realising that it's okay not to know everything as long as I'm willing to learn, and I want to learn. And that feeling of inadequateness can actually be a positive sign that you're in the right place. So if you're interested in personal growth and development, you're always going to actually be pushing yourself into something new. You're going to, of course, be wanting to experience new things and challenge yourself. But when things are new, we don't feel as comfortable. We're out of our comfort zone. And so we constantly feel like we don't belong. And as you move up the ranks, you'll just meet new people that you compare yourself negatively against. And as you enhance your knowledge, you just reveal more and more that you actually don't know. And it can really build up a debt on your shoulders. But what can you do to lighten the load? What can you do to take that pressure off yourself? I don't know. I don't think that there can be a one-size-fits-all answer to that question. If there was, I think we'd all have heard it and we'd all be doing it and this wouldn't be an issue. I wouldn't have a reason to be up here talking. But thanks to researching it, I have come across a lot of advice from others that have been through the same kind of things. And I'm happy to say that some of them do actually alleviate those pressures and have worked for me. They may work for you. You might need to go and find different ones or maybe put a twist on the ones that I'm going to show you in a minute. But these are the ones that I found the most helpful. So you are not your doubtful and negative thoughts. These are just thoughts. They're anti-thoughts. So you do have pro-thoughts, but the anti-thoughts are, of course, much, much louder. So I call my anti-thoughts the non-believers. And when they pop up, I shun them. So what you should do is you should try and counter every negative thought with a positive one. So if you think you can't do something, remember a time when you've done something that you thought you couldn't, but you did it anyway. So I thought I couldn't ski. I thought I couldn't hike 26 miles. I thought I couldn't train clients. I thought I couldn't win a boxing match. I thought I couldn't speak in front of a big crowd of people. But I have done and are doing all of those things. So surely I can do anything. And you should shut up, non-believers. Yeah. And then sack off the comparisons. So I found a quote the other day that read, "Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides." So when I look at each and every one of you, I will instantly see something that is better about you than is about me. So be it material or not, be it that everybody around you is laughing, so you must be really funny, probably funnier than me, or your hair looks way better than mine, or anything, literally anything. The speakers that walk on stage before and after me, they will look cooler and sound smarter and just generally be more composed than me. But an apple can look pristine on the outside while being bruised at the core. So try not to be too hard on yourself and realise that they're probably looking at you and thinking similar things themselves, because everybody's got their own insecurities, but they don't paint them on their outside. And then write happy things down in a private journal or notebook. It's just for you. It's just to make you feel that the good is more real and stop the bad from overshadowing it. So write down nice things that people say to you, whether it's, "Oh, that was a really nice cup of tea, you make the best coffee, your hair looks nice, good answer, good question." Just any little thing that is slightly complimentary that you notice, just take a moment to just write it down and think, "Oh, I did ask a good question then, or I did give a good answer to that question." And then another way to do this is to just take 30 minutes out of your day and write down any little ramblings that are going on in your head. So just pick up a pen and you can't put it down for 30 minutes. If you can't think of anything, just write, "I can't think of anything, I can't think of anything, I can't think of anything," until you actually think of anything. And it can be as random as cheesecake, or it can not make sense, like cheesecake. But it really doesn't matter. It's just about putting you more in touch with what's going on inside your head. So this quote is from a talk by Amy Cuddy. It was a TED talk about the importance of body language. It's a really great talk. I definitely recommend watching it if you haven't already. I can see a few people nodding, saying so they've obviously seen it because it is that good. So if you already feel like a fake, well, you might as well use that. If the funny thing is about pretending to be something that you're not, is you actually start to become it. So if you pretend that you're confident, you actually start to become more confident. And this is something that Amy Cuddy talks about a lot in her talk. But I'd actually like to add something just to the end of that, which I believe should be there, is you should fake it until you become it, till you realise it was who you were all along. So you've always been confident, you just thought you weren't, your brain couldn't comprehend that you could be that good at something. So back to those 30% of successful people that have never experienced any feelings associated with the imposter syndrome. If this is you, and you're pushing yourself, but you're lucky enough that the new doesn't faze you at all, then I'm extremely jealous. But it could be that maybe, perhaps you're not challenging yourself enough. Can you fake being more until you actually become more, only to realise that you were more the whole time? And those anti-thoughts just were blurring your vision of the good person that you were and how smart you were and the things that you could achieve. And when you do achieve something, just think, it's not luck, it's not good timing, and it's not a lie. It's an achievement and you deserve it because you're awesome. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That was great. Those slides, though, right? Amazing. Any questions? We probably have like a minute or two right here in the front row.
What's your
Happiest
happiest moment as being a project manager so far?
moment as a PM?
I'm hoping it will be tonight because I'm going to the Prolific North award ceremony for a project that I did on the British Heart Foundation. It's been nominated for an award. So I'm really excited about that. So hopefully if we win, it'll be tonight. But just being nominated is probably the happiest up to that point.
Cool. Yeah, you here?
Just wanted to say congratulations, you were awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. So I think,
I've had a point connected to that. I think I've had a few conversations with PMs both on Twitter and I was just going to say, I think there's a point around talking about failure. I've had a few conversations with PMs last night and on social. We all talk about in Agile about sharing our failures as well as our successes, but very few people I see talk publicly about our failures. We talk to each other. I think we could do more as a community to actually like really share with everybody our pain.
I think that's a very good point. We should definitely do that.
we'll take one more question.
So as somebody who recognises that you experience this, how do you approach other team members who you recognise might be experiencing this but might not be willing to admit it themselves?
I think just try and be the biggest advocate. Just remind them how awesome they are and how much of a good job they're doing. Because that's what helps me. That's what I get when I go home. I get like, so proud of you. And that does help, even though you're like, no, stop it. Like, it does help because it does stick in there. And especially if you do the thing where you write it down. So if you tell them to write it down, just anything that's good that's said about them, then you start to get like this book of good things about you. And just like you can have a flick through if you're feeling really, really low one day. And just be like, I made a really good coffee on Tuesday the 4th. Maybe I could go and be a barista. So, yeah, that's what I'd say.
So great. Thank you so much again.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rebecca.